In this video, we will be looking at Churchill's Iron Curtain speech and Soviet expansion. With tensions rising between East and West, Stalin and Truman asked their embassies in the other countries to report on what the other was up to. These replies came in telegrams. The USA gained their telegram in the form of Kennan's long telegram. George Kennan's telegram was called long as it was a very long telegram. It said that Stalin wanted to destroy capitalism and felt that the USA wanted to destroy the USSR. It also said Stalin was not suicidal and could be forced to back down. The USA felt that the way to deal with the USSR was to use the policy of containment to stop communism spreading. The USSR gained their telegram in the form of a telegram from Nikolai Novikov. The Novikov telegram said that the USA wanted to dominate the world and that the American people would support a war against the Soviet Union. The telegram made Stalin and the Soviet Union believe they needed as much protection in Eastern Europe as possible. At the end of World War II, the USSR's army occupied most of Eastern Europe, including Poland, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Yugoslavia. Although each country had its own leaders, it became very difficult for non-communists to gain power. After the horrors of Nazism, there was no doubt that communism was popular in many countries, but the Soviets worked hard to ensure that pro-USSR communists rose to positions of power or authority within governments. This included the arrest and execution of opponents and the rigging of elections. Despite the promises made by Stalin at the Yalta Conference to allow free elections, he had in fact started turning Eastern Europe into a buffer zone between the Soviet Union and Western Europe. Stalin feared that the Eastern Europe could be the doorway for an attack on the Soviet Union by the West. The Soviet Union took over different Eastern European countries between 1945 and 1948. Albania, East Germany and Romania were overtaken in 1945, while Bulgaria was overtaken in 1946 and Poland in 1947. Hungary and Czechoslovakia were overtaken by the USSR in 1948. Ex-British Prime Minister Winston Churchill remained an active and influential figure in world politics, even after his defeat in the election in 1945. On the 6th of March 1945, during a visit to the USA, Churchill made a speech that directly criticised the USSR. Churchill accused the USSR of attempting to spread its influence and gain more power at all costs. Churchill described the invisible dividing line between the East and West as an Iron Curtain, a term which became widely used during the Cold War. The Iron Curtain ended almost all contact between countries on either side of it, including trade and tourism. In a nutshell, Churchill meant that the Allies had spent 6 years fighting for the freedom from fascism in Europe, only to have half the continent now under Soviet dictatorship. Churchill's speech contributed to Truman's thoughts on the Soviet Union, as well as the long telegram. But how the speech was viewed in Moscow was most significant. Stalin saw the speech as a deliberate and unfair attempt to paint the Soviet Union as aggressive and untrustworthy. Stalin believed that Churchill was working with the USA to affect how the world saw the Soviet Union. He argued that the speech deliberately misunderstood the actions of the Soviet Union in Eastern Europe.